My name is Cassidy Noble. I'm 29 years old, the youngest son of Manhattan real estate royalty, born into the kind of money that never checks price tags and the kind of family that never forgives weakness. My sister Veronica was the chosen heir, the prodigy who spoke in boardroom terms by 16 and closed her first deal before college. I was the afterthought, the artsy one, tolerated at family dinners but never taken seriously. For as long as I can remember, I've been the embarrassing footnote to their empire, too soft, too quiet, too different. I stopped expecting anything from them years ago. And yet, 2 months after my grandfather's death, a call from a Boston bank shattered every version of reality I thought I understood. They left me nothing, so why the hell was there a sealed account in my name? The boardroom reeked of polish and power. Third floor of the Noble and Lock Tower. Oak-paneled walls, abstract paintings priced like small countries, and a view of a city built on secrets. I didn't sit. Neither did Veronica. The lawyer, Paul Gerhardt, cleared his throat like a man preparing to slit someone's pride. This is the last will and testament of Edmund A. Noble. Signed and witnessed, April 6th, 2 months before his passing. No emotion in his voice. No pause. Just facts and figures. To my granddaughter Veronica Noble, I leave $27 million in cash assets, my controlling interest in Noble and Lock Holdings, and all property including the Montauk estate. Veronica blinked. No smile. She never showed teeth unless it was calculated. Helena, our mother, exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. Damien, our father, adjusted his cufflink. Platinum. I looked at my hands. Ink under the nails. A cracked thumbnail. It said enough. To my grandson Cassidy Noble. Paul hesitated. A beat too long. I leave him with the opportunity to earn what he believes he deserves. Silence. A long, brutal kind. Damien cleared his throat. It's what he would have wanted. Cassidy never cared for the business. He's creative. He'll make his own way. That was his version of mercy. Veronica finally looked at me. Cold. Precise. Surgical. Then turned away like she'd finished reading the label on a dented can. They moved on. Discussed logistics. Trusts. Share transfers. It blurred. I didn't speak. I didn't move. You don't fight in their world. You vanish. The elevator dropped 48 floors. My lungs felt raw. The kind of ache you can't fix with air. Outside, the wind hit like a slap. Manhattan buzzed around me like it didn't care I'd just been erased. Then, my phone rang. Unknown number. Boston area code. I hesitated. Thumb hovered. Answered. Mr. Noble? A female voice. Crisp. Controlled. Not cold. This is Marla Vance, Vice President of Winslow Price Private Banking. We need to speak with you regarding a sealed trust account under your name. I stopped walking. A car horn blared. I didn't flinch. I don't have any, I started. This account was set aside by Edmund Noble. It contains legally binding documents and instructions. We were instructed to contact you after the reading of his public will. My stomach turned. Why wasn't it part of today's reading? I asked. Her pause was clinical. Because this one was never meant to be shared with your family. I stood at the edge of Park Avenue as taxis hissed by, headlights cutting through mist. My reflection stared back from the glass, older than I remembered. Veronica's words from the last Christmas dinner echoed back, you'll never understand legacy. You were never meant to carry anything but your own weight. Turns out, she was right. But maybe I wasn't meant to carry it. Maybe I was meant to burn it down. This wasn't in the will. This was war. The walls were too white. The kind of sterile white that smelled like money, disinfectant, and secrets. Winslow Price wasn't a bank for people like me. It was a fortress for dynasties, legacies, the old blood who kept their wealth quiet and offshore. Marla Vance met me in the lobby with a handshake too firm for someone in a silk blouse. Early 40s. Impeccable. Her eyes scanned like a biometric reader. This way, Mr. Noble. She didn't offer small talk. Just a hallway of glass walls and hushed voices. Every step echoed like it didn't belong. Inside the private client room, she placed a cream envelope on the table between us. Thick. Handwritten. My name, in the same jagged cursive I used to see on birthday checks from my grandfather. No return address. No crest. No wax seal. Just wait. This envelope was entrusted to us 4 years ago, she said. Mr. Edmund Noble gave explicit instructions. It was to be delivered only after the reading of the public will, and only to you. Alone. I stared at it. Can I ask what's in it? She shook her head. We were instructed not to read or duplicate it. It was sealed under client privilege. Her voice didn't twitch. Some people live behind glass. Marla? She was the glass. I broke the seal. The paper smelled old. Expensive. My heartbeat slowed, not from calm, but precision. Like my body knew it couldn't afford a single mistake. Inside was a single sentence at the top. If you're reading this, it means I lost the final round. There were 2 documents attached. 1, a notarized directive to open a secure trust in my name. The second, a list. I froze on line 5. A real estate asset in Boston I didn't know existed. Appraised at just over $9.3 million. Underneath it, a series of offshore banking codes, keys, and one word typed in bold. Irrevocable. My throat tightened. Mr. Noble, Marla said, her voice softer now. Do you wish to proceed with claim verification? I nodded. Good. I'll initiate the process now. You'll need to sign. The door opened. I turned. Veronica. Wearing navy. No coat. Like she owned the wind. Funny, she said. I wasn't invited to this little meeting. Marla stiffened. I'm sorry, Ms. Noble. This is a private session. Veronica ignored her, stepping into the room like a blade. Her gaze locked on me, then dropped to the envelope. Is that what I think it is? She asked. I said nothing. You've been here 30 minutes and already think you've won something? She tilted her head. That's adorable. I stood. Slow. My hand slid over the documents. Marla reached for the intercom. I'll have to ask you to wait outside. Veronica cut in, sharp. Do you even know what you're holding, Cassidy? I didn't blink. That envelope? That's not a gift. It's a trap. Grandfather loved his games. But trust me, you're not the one he trusted. Marla spoke up. Ms. Noble, your presence is a breach. Freeze the account. Veronica turned to her. Effective immediately. Until legal verification is complete. That's not how it works, I said. Her eyes narrowed. That's exactly how it works. When you're dealing with real money, Cassidy, the rules aren't printed on napkins. Marla paused. Without court order, I cannot. I'll have one by morning. Veronica stepped closer. You've made a mistake, she said, voice low. That account? The house? Whatever else he left you. It wasn't meant to surface. And now that it has. She leaned in. I could smell bergamot and bloodlust. Every noble in this city will come for you. She walked out. Heels silent. Cut. Marla exhaled, barely. I've never seen her like that. She's always like that, I said. Just better dressed. My hands were still on the envelope. Trembling now. Do we have to report this? Marla shook her head. Not yet. But I recommend you take action. Quietly. Before she does. I stood. Folded the documents. Slipped them inside my coat. Marla didn't stop me. Down the hall, people stared but didn't speak. I stepped into the elevator. Doors slid shut. Silence. Then my phone buzzed. No caller ID. Text only. You should have walked away. I stared at the screen. Then up at the camera in the corner of the elevator. The red light wasn't blinking. But I knew. Someone had flipped it off. If that envelope's real, you've just made enemies with everyone who carries my last name. I didn't go home. I drove. Fast. No music. Just the hum of Manhattan chewing through midnight. The email sat open on my phone. No subject. No name. Just 5 words. You should have walked away. No punctuation. No threat. Just wait. I changed SIMs and dumped the original into a trash chute at a gas station off I-95. There's something about silence that tells you more than screaming. If they weren't yelling, they were watching. Leon Reyes met me in a garage under an old building in Soho. His office sat above a ramen bar that reeked of pork fat and dish soap. He greeted me with black coffee, no sugar, and a look that said he was already regretting helping me. You're the quiet noble, he said. Didn't expect to hear from you. I wasn't planning to exist this loud either. He skimmed the scanned documents. Checked the metadata. Then again. Slower. This trust was updated 7 months before your grandfather died. Sealed properly. Notarized. It's real. I exhaled. But, he added, tapping one corner of the document, there's no reference to it in the probate filing. Which means someone buried it. Or never knew it existed. Or pretended not to. Leon looked at me. This thing has weight. And shadows. You want to keep it, you'll need to move fast. Before your sister makes this federal. Cut. I parked outside my apartment in Brooklyn. The security light flickered like it was dying of regret. Something was off. Not loud. Not obvious. Just wrong. The door wasn't locked. I always lock the door. Inside, nothing missing. Nothing moved. But the air was touched. I checked the kitchen drawer. My backup phone, gone. Cut. Bedroom. Closet. Still had the spare passport. But the manila folder I kept under the floorboard? Empty. I didn't hear the footsteps. Not until they stopped behind me. I spun. No one there. Just the hallway light, swaying slightly. Like it had been nudged. A whisper in my head, they don't break things when they want you to know they were here. I didn't sleep. I repacked. Every document. Flash drive. Burned copies. And left before dawn. Leon sent me an encrypted file, financials linked to the trust. One line stood out, Noble Real Estate Holdings, Blackwell subsidiary, confidential redevelopment asset. Location, Brookline, Massachusetts. An address I didn't recognize. But I recognized the name scribbled in the margin, E. Noble, Private Archives. Cut to Massachusetts. Gray sky. Freezing wind. And a brownstone with dead ivy strangling its bones. A keypad on the side gate blinked red. The code wasn't hard. My grandfather only ever used one number, the day his wife died. I stepped inside. Dust. Mold. Paper rot. The smell of time left unsupervised. No cameras. No alarms. Just silence. 3rd floor. A locked room. Inside, shelves lined with records, microfilm, a rusted safe the size of a coffin, and on the far wall, a pinboard covered in strings, sketches, names. Veronica. Damien. Corporate entities. A man in sunglasses I didn't know. And in the center, one photo. Me. You don't get chills from cold. You get them from context. I opened the safe. Took 5 tries. But I got it. Inside, 3 tapes, a flash drive, and a small velvet pouch. The pouch held a ring. Edmund's signet. The one we buried him with. I turned it over. Inside the band, you see more than they do. I plugged in the flash drive. A video booted. Grainy. Night vision. My grandfather. Sitting in a chair by a fireplace. Holding a glass of scotch. Across from him, Marla Vance. And next to her, Veronica. Then it's agreed, Edmund said. If anything happens to me, this stays buried. Veronica nodded. She can't know, Marla added. She? Tape skipped. Cassidy? Edmund's voice rasped. He's not part of this. He's never been part of this. The tape glitched again. Veronica leaned forward. Then why mention him in the sealed trust? Silence. Edmund looked at her. Because you always underestimate the quiet ones. I stopped the video. My hands were shaking. I stepped back. Fast. Rewound. Played again. Veronica had known. Marla had known. This whole time. They'd planned something, cut me out, buried it, and now were watching me dig into the grave they left behind. Outside, something thudded. Hard. Window? No. Door. I moved fast. Downstairs. Flashlight out. No weapon. Nothing but adrenaline and borrowed fear. Back door, open. Wide. On the floor, mud. And a single footprint. Still wet. Someone had just left. Or was still inside. I froze. Waited. Then a click. Metal. Upstairs. No time to think. I grabbed the tapes. The drive. The ring. Cut to black. Someone's watching. And they want this buried. Rain slicked the windshield as I drove north. Cape Cod by night. The GPS showed a pen he carved in 1992, before the empire, before the knives came out. The house looked like a ghost waiting for a memory. Its wood siding gray in the street lamp glow. Dead ivy strangled the corners. A rusting gate. The code I punched in was the day Grandma died. 0814. Click. The lock relented. Inside smelled like rot and dust. Old sorrow. The light from my phone carved long shadows across broken floorboards. I walked carefully. Every step sounded loud. Upstairs, I found what I was looking for. A room with a door nailed shut. Inside, boxes. Paper. Files. A heavy safe sunk into the concrete floor. I knelt. My fingers brushed a small keypad. 4 digits. I punched them. It clicked. Inside lay 3 audio tapes, a thumb drive, and a small black velvet pouch. I touched the pouch. Cold. The signet ring. Grandma's ring. The one Dad told me was lost. My heart pounded. I plugged the drive into my phone. Video. Grainy. Night vision. My grandfather by firelight. Across from him, Marla Vance, Veronica. Marla leaned in. Everything transfers as planned. Grandfather shook his head. Not yet. Then he stared at Veronica with eyes older than politics. She doesn't know. She can't. Veronica nodded. Lips tight. Eyes hard. I shut the video. My stomach twisted. A window creaked. Light swooped. The floorboards behind me groaned. I spun, but nothing there. Just the hush. Then a thud. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. My phone torch cut a narrow beam. Nothing. Just air that waited. Click. The doorknob turned. I dropped the drive. They didn't burst in. They knocked. Soft. Polite. Dangerous. Open the door, Cassidy. Veronica's voice, calm. I recognized it too late. I backed away. Too slow. The door splintered. She entered. Marla close behind. The mask of business suits. Cold smiles. Veronica pointed at the ring. You really thought a rusty ring means inheritance? This world runs on leverage, not sentimentality. Marla snapped. Turn around. Hands up. I kept my eyes on the gun. You don't own anything, Veronica said. Not the trust. Not the papers. Not even this ring. Her heel tapped the wood floor like a metronome controlling death. Marla advanced. I glanced at the safe door. Still open. The tapes. The drive. Desperation registered. I dove. Her gun fired. The bullet shredded wood behind me, splinters like shrapnel in slow motion. I rolled. Grabbed the pouch. I didn't wait. Ran. Up the stairs. Cold wood under my palms. Heart kicking. Behind me, a scream. Marla. Veronica. The crack of furniture colliding. I vaulted through the upstairs window. Rain hit me like shards. I fell into bushes. Sharp. Wet. I lay there, breath ragged. Rain hit me. And masked the sound of my steps scrambling down the driveway. I didn't stop until the taillights of Buick sedan disappeared. In the darkness, I pulled out the ring. My grandfather's ring. I wiped rain from the band. The word inside glinted faintly, see. See more than they do. I thought about that. Truth isn't found in safe deposit boxes. It's in the risk you're willing to take. Leon's voice echoed, if you want to keep it, move fast. I didn't know where I would go. But I knew this, they wanted the secret. I had it. I'd become the target. And tonight, I had their proof. She knew. She's been playing this game longer than I ever imagined. Lights in the Noble and Lock boardroom dropped to a dull glow. Night outside, Manhattan glowing like a silent promise. I walked in before them. Veronica and her guardian angels in tailored suits. I had a small flash drive and 3 tapes in my pocket. My only leverage. Veronica stood by the long mahogany table. Her heels clicked. Soft. Cold. The sound of finality. Nice of you to show up, she said. No warmth. Just accusation. I didn't answer. I dropped the flash drive on the table. The light caught the metal edge. A cold gleam. Before you claim you're the righteous heir, I said, voice calm, watch this. I tapped play on my phone. Connected it to the meeting room screen. The firelight from the video flickered across her face. Marla Vance signing papers. Veronica nodding. My grandfather refusing. I turned off the sound and let the image speak. Eyes widened. Shoulders stiffened. You think this changes anything? Veronica said. Quiet. Dangerous. I leaned forward. Names don't matter when the truth is backed by steel and ink. She lifted a folder. That trust is null. Frozen. With legal force. We warned you. She flashed a contract. Signed. Notarized. I shook my head. You forged that signature. The real one is on tape. She smiled. Sharp. Tight. Nice theory. Without custody of originals, that tape is hearsay. Her lawyer, a man older than Sin, stepped forward. We'll file tomorrow. Probate court. Federal inquiry. You'll be exposed. I didn't flinch. I watched the knife slip. Then Marla Vance pressed a button on her phone. Instantly, sirens outside. Lights in the room snapped red. Glass walls flashed. Cut. Chaos. Veronica rushed forward. Threatening. I raised my hands. Marla moved behind her, pulling a gun from her clutch. Not luxury. Cold metal. Real. She's unstable, Marla whispered. Don't interfere. Veronica spat. You don't get to walk out alive with the only proof that ever mattered. Gun aimed. I kicked the table. The glass trophies of inheritance shattered. Glass bits echoed. Red light twirling across shards. I ducked. Rolled. Reached for the window behind the shelves. Thick glass. Snap. I smashed it with my elbow. Pain shot through. Blood. Sharp. Broke free. Air hit me like cold regret. Rain outside. Neon street through smoke. I dropped through the pane. Fell 5 floors. Landed on a truck bed. Metal rattled under me. Pain. But alive. Sirens drowned out the cries behind me. I ran. Rain soaked. Heart pounding. I didn't slow. In the shadows of a dim alley, I called Leon Reyes. He's coming, I rasped. We need a safe place. Now. He told me a warehouse, North Brooklyn. Empty. Cameras disabled. No questions. I arrived, drenched, clutching tape and drive. Leon opened a duffel. Inside, burner phones. A laptop. Documents. He looked at me, eyes hard. They just threatened blood. Not funds. We're talking full-scale takeover or silencing. I nodded. Hands trembling. He handed me coffee. Black. No sugar. Truth is more dangerous than lies, he said. But both are weapons. I leaned against a stack of crates, coffee burning my throat. Rain pattered on the metal roof. I watched the flash drive name on screen, noble_trust_confidential.mp4. I breathed. Hard. And then the warehouse door slammed open. Helicopter spotlight. Guns trained. Veronica's voice cut through the wet air. Drop the evidence, Cassidy. Or we kill everyone inside. I crushed the coffee cup. Foam sprayed. I didn't hesitate. I reached for the tapes. Threw them into a metal barrel filled with old solvents. Fire. Flames licked the papers. Video. Proof. Leon shoved me toward a side door. Gunfire cracked. Splinters. Concrete dust. We broke out. Into the rain. Sirens behind. I kept running. The ring, grandfather's ring, still heavy in my pocket. Rain washed the flames. The warehouse glowed glowing ruin behind us. Leather jacket, wet hair, thunder overhead. I yelled, "This ends tonight." Leon grabbed my arm. You sure? I didn't answer. I only looked ahead. And whispered under breath, they're not protecting a legacy. They're covering a crime. Night traffic hummed like a slow heartbeat as Leon and I pulled up to the courthouse in Brooklyn. Headlights threw long shadows across the steps. We walked in silent. 2 folders. 1 flash drive. A case that would blow the lid off everything. The clerk didn't blink. Just slid the files across. Filing complete, she said softly. Stamp hit paper. Cold, final. Sirens wailed in the distance. Somewhere, a family empire trembled. Leon leaned close. Once this hits public record, there's no going back. I nodded. Truth doesn't wait for comfort. Cut to the newsroom. Under the harsh glow of breaking news red banners, my story went live. Headline: Noble and Locke Holdings under investigation, alleged forged documents, hidden trust revealed. The screen went blurry. My reflection looked stranger than I felt. A voice, familiar, cold. Helena Nobles. Broadcast from a phone interview. These are baseless allegations. A shot of Veronica walking through a parking garage. She didn't flinch. No denial. Just silence behind sunglasses. Leon closed his laptop. They kept their poison behind locks and safes. You burned their firewood. Now the spotlight's real. I wanted to say, maybe darkness protects, until someone pulls the switch. Lightning cracked overhead. Rain. I moved fast. Montauk. The high cliffs carved by wind and salt. The sea below roared. I carried the ring, my grandfather's signet. Cold metal between fingers. A small proof of what once meant loyalty. Now it was ammo. I climbed the stairs to the old beach house. The windows were boarded. But the top room had one broken pane. Light leaked. Inside, dust motes floating in stale air. Old furniture draped with sheets. The silence was heavy. I stepped to the fireplace. Listened to nothing. Then pressed the ring against the brick. The gunshot came. Wood splintered. Shards rained across my shoulder. Pain sliced through. I lunged aside. Dropped the ring. It rolled. Skipped. Landed on the hearth. A figure emerged from the dark. Veronica. Gun in hand. Lips curled. You think this ends with paperwork and headlines? Her voice was flat. Ice. My shirt damp with rain. My heart pounding. I closed my eyes for a second. Focused. Legacy isn't blood. It's proof, I said. She smirked. Let's see how much proof counts when you're dead. Trigger, click. Nothing. She cursed. Flicked the safety off. I dove. Rolled. Grabbed a chunk of charred wood from the hearth. The world slowed. I brought it down. Hard. Cracked her jaw. Gun flew. Clattered. I scrambled. Rain battered the roof above. Wind and sea at war. I grabbed the gun. Pressed it into my palm. Veronica stepped back. Face pale. You never belonged here. Her voice cracked. Shame. Fear. I kept the gun level. Maybe. But I belonged to the truth. She didn't move. Helicopter blades cut the air. Searchlights swung across the cliff edge. Footsteps behind. A figure in black suit, Marla Vance. Hand raised. Drop the weapon, she hissed. Go quietly. I didn't flinch. I stepped forward, toward the edge. Rain washed blood from my face. Salt air stung lungs. Everything your family built, I said, voice low, was built on fear and silence. Flashlight. Red. Blinding. I turned camera on myself. Press record on phone. Legacy is not inherited, I said. It's earned. And tonight, this house of cards falls. I pressed send. To investigators. To every major news outlet. Sirens. Police cars. Helicopter searchlight. Rain soaking everything. Veronica screamed, crumpling. Marla stepped forward. Gun. Handcuffs. pressed down hard. Wet cuffs clicked shut. Lights pulsed blue and red. Camera bulbs flashed. I stood still. Wet. Broken. Alive. Leon appeared, drenched, support in eyes. Case transferred, federal assets freeze, he said softly. I exhaled. Deep. Weeks later. The gallery. Not in Manhattan. Brooklyn. Small. Bare walls. Clean wood floors. Empty. My starting line. I placed the ring on a velvet cushion inside a glass case. Under light. A plaque, for those too quiet to inherit power, but loud in truth. Dusk came through tall windows. The city hummed outside. I thought of a quote I once read, "Justice delayed may bruise, but truth eventually blooms." I whispered it. To no one. Boxes arrived. Paintings. Sculptures. Artists who'd been ignored, overlooked, lost. People like me. They signed on. Consigned their pain, hope, and dreams. I flipped the sign from closed to open. Light spilled across floorboards. Warm. Honest. Mine. I locked the door behind me at midnight. The city lights flickered across the glass. I touched the signet ring one last time. Sliding it into my pocket. Because power, money, they handed that to my sister. But I got something else. Freedom. Integrity. A new legacy. They thought I was the weak one. But I was the only one who didn't need the money to matter.